What if France wins the World Cup again? In 1998, France had never won a World Cup. 28 years later, they could have 3. If that happens, France doesn't just win another tournament, it rewrites football's entire hierarchy. But here's the part nobody's talking about. The same victory that could make France the most dominant football nation of this century might also expose the biggest problem French football has. Let's break down exactly what happens if France wins it again. The history, the money. Before the video starts, if you're a Ronaldo fan, subscribe. If you're an Mbappe fan, leave a comment and subscribe too. That way, I'll be able to see what true fans are willing to do to support their favorite player. The man carrying the team and the crack running underneath all of it. Only 4 national teams on Earth have ever earned a 3rd star or higher on their jersey. Brazil with 5, Germany and Italy with 4, Argentina with 3. It's the most exclusive club in the sport, and every nation that's joined it got there through a moment that meant more than football. Brazil's 3rd title in 1970 is actually the reason the star tradition exists at all. A fan from a small town called Barreto suggested it, the federation ran with it, and now every major football nation copies that same idea. Italy's 3rd title in 1982 healed a country still reeling from a match-fixing scandal that had gutted public trust in the sport just 2 years earlier. Germany's 3rd title in 1990 landed on the exact edge of reunification, so politically loaded that the German Federation actually waited 6 years before sewing the stars onto the shirt, worried it would look like nationalist overreach. If France wins this year, their 3rd star arrives just 28 years after their 1st, faster than almost any nation in history has completed that climb. Italy took over 3 decades to do it. Germany took over 5. France will be doing it in half that time. That's not just a good tournament. That's a football nation quietly becoming the defining power of this century, whether the rest of Europe is ready to admit it or not. What it actually does to Mbappe. Here's where it gets personal. Back in 2018, a 19-year-old Mbappe became only the 2nd teenager in history to score in a World Cup final. The first was Pelé, 60 years earlier. 4 years later, in 2022, he scored a hat trick in the final itself and still walked away with nothing, beaten on penalties by Messi's Argentina in one of the greatest finals ever played. Right now, in 2026, he's already passed Pelé and Miroslav Klose on the all-time World Cup scoring list. He's sitting just behind Messi for the outright record, a record that's been broken twice in this tournament alone. The real question is what a 2nd World Cup title does to how history remembers him. Pelé is the only man to ever win 3 World Cups as a player, and he did it before he turned 30. Nobody else has managed even 2 titles at Mbappe's age. If he lifts this trophy at 27, he stops being the closest thing football has to Pelé, as a compliment people throw around. He becomes the only other name that actually belongs in that sentence. And there's a quieter shift happening too. In 2018, winning made Mbappe famous overnight. Brand deals, magazine covers, global recognition at 19. He's long past needing any of that now. His net worth is already north of $250 million. His endorsements alone bring in tens of millions a year. And he's already investing in outside businesses through his own private firm. A 2026 win doesn't make him more famous. It makes him more powerful. The kind of leverage that turns an athlete into a genuine institution. And then there's the man who won't score a single goal in any of this. Didier Deschamps. This is already, for certain, his final tournament in charge. He confirmed over a year ago, well before this World Cup even started, that he wouldn't renew his contract no matter what happens here. That timeline was never in question. It's already decided. Here's why that matters so much. Only 2 other men in the entire history of football have won a World Cup as both a player and a head coach. Brazil's Mario Zagallo and Germany's Franz Beckenbauer. Deschamps joined that exclusive group back in 2018, when he became champion as a manager after already winning it as a player captain in 1998. But there's one record even rarer than that. Only a single man has ever coached 2 separate World Cup winning teams. Italy's Vittorio Pozzo, all the way back in 1934 and 1938. Nobody has matched that in nearly 90 years. If the Shops wins this tournament, he ties Pozzo outright. And he does it in the exact same match that ends his 14-year reign as France's coach. You could not script a better ending if you tried. Part 4. The machine behind it all. Component with how does one country keep producing this level of talent generation after generation? It isn't luck, it's a machine. France has built one of the densest football development pipelines on the planet. Local clubs scouting kids as young as 6 or 7, feeding into regional academies, feeding into national training centers like the famous Clairefontaine, feeding straight into the biggest clubs in the world. One of the most productive footballing regions on earth, producing player after player who ends up starting for France on the biggest stage. That machine is exactly why France can lose its biggest stars to Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, or the Premier League every single summer and still show up as tournament favorites 4 years later. The academies don't slow down just because the finished product leaves the country, but that same machine is about to be tested harder than it ever has been. Part 5. The paradox of winning. Every time France wins a World Cup, a wave follows almost immediately. After the 1998 win, over 200,000 new players registered with the French Federation in a single season. After 2018, tens of thousands more joined on top of that, pushing total federation membership to record highs. On paper, that's the dream outcome. Kids picking up a ball because they watch their heroes win. Except France's amateur system, roughly 14,000 clubs strong, is already stretched to its limit. Right now, there's only one qualified coach for every 9 registered players nationwide. And here's the part that should genuinely worry French football fans more than anything else in this video. While the national team keeps winning, Ligue 1, the actual domestic league that produces these players, is bleeding money in the background. French clubs lost a combined 542 million euros last season alone. Stretch that out over the past decade, and the total losses passed 3 billion euros. Broadcasting deals collapsed after a major rights partner pulled out of the market entirely. One private equity firm that had valued the league's media rights at over 11 billion euros was forced to slash that valuation by 73% within a few years. Here's what I keep coming back to. Everything I just broke down about France, the third star, the perfect ending for Deschamps, the Mbappe legacy question, Argentina already has almost all of it, and arguably a stronger version of it. They've already got 3 stars. Messi already has his ending, however it goes, because everyone in football already knows this is likely it for him. And if Argentina wins again, they become the first team to go back-to-back champions since Brazil in the late 1950s and early 60s. That's not a smaller story than France's. If anything, it might be the bigger one. So if I'm being honest with you, as a neutral, not a fan of either shirt, I don't think France gets an easy revenge story. Not against this version of Argentina. Not with this much riding on it for them too. If I had to call it right now, I'd lean toward Argentina finishing the job again. But I'll be honest, if Mbappe keeps finishing chances the way he has all tournament, I could easily be wrong by the time the final whistle blows. That's just where I land. Curious where you land too. Drop your prediction in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.